All right. Welcome to Wayne's World, everybody. This is episode 9 of the Purple Sticky Podcast. I'm Wayne Campbell, and that's Mustard Man. How's it going, Mustard Man?
Somebody is going to pay
For what, man?
with their cells that I'm going to extract and then modify and then inject back. Probably not into the rectum, but maybe another orifice. Oh,
Oh, shit, Bradford, what's up?
How are you, my friends?
How's it going?
Am I early, late?
No, you're right on time. You're right on time.
All right, good.
So, how are you?
I'm hanging in there.
Hanging in there. So, ladies and gentlemen, our guest that just joined us, this is Bradford Tatum from one of my favorite movies, Stoned Age. And I will mention, you were like probably one of the most feared bullies in the '90s from Powder. Didn't look forward to going to high school after seeing that movie. But no, you're one of my favorite actors. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Well, thank you for having me. As they say.
Renee said she's joining us. This is funny. This happened last week where she joined us, and I was like, Bradford said he's coming.
I got the time.
But yeah, Renee should be with us at some point. And hopefully we can have that Stoned Age reunion. And then Michael couldn't join us tonight, but I'm actually going to interview him tomorrow and then kind of see what I can do with splicing this together. So first off, Bradford, are we acting anymore?
That's not the question. The question is, will Hollywood have you anymore?
Oh, no. You can do whatever you want, man.
No, that's
Like, you're not doing your own projects?
Oh, I am. But they have nothing to do with Hollywood.
Oh, well, that doesn't matter.
No.
Indie's where it's at, man.
No. And I got a 22-year-old daughter who's all hopped up on the splendor of the dream machine. So I spend a lot of my energy. In fact, she made her first short, made a horror short, which is pretty
I saw that.
that's cool.
So I'm trying to encourage her to be more behind the camera. Take your time in front if you want. But I mean, even in the case of Tax Chicks or what later became the Stoned Age, I was 28 years old and I auditioned for that thing. I was way too old for it. And it took them, they forgot about me. I auditioned for it. I thought it was cool. I mean, I just cut all my hair off because I couldn't get any work with this long hair. So I just cut it off. This thing came along that reminded me of American Graffiti had been written by John Hughes. I thought, oh, it's kind of a cool little piece. I lived through the 80s. It's accurate. He nailed the douchebags because, I was on the receiving end of douchebaggery in my day.
Right.
And I thought he'd nailed it. So I went in, I read, and I just thought, fuck, I'm too old. There's just no way. A month went by. I called up my agent. I said, whatever happened to that project? He goes, oh, I think they forgot about you. Let me call over there. So that's Hollywood. And that's common. That's common. When I did another movie down Periscope, I went in to read. Fern Cassell says, you're a very talented actor, but you're just no good as a bullet. You're no good as a heavy. I said, really? I play them a lot. She goes, no, you're really not right for this part. The next time I saw Fern fucking Cassell was at the table read. Hi, I'm the actor you didn't want to even audition for this part. So
Right.
not wanting to be bitter or what have you, because I think every actor that's ever done anything has stories like that. I mean, Shelley Winter's famous audition story. She went in to read for some bullshit horror thing. And she took out her first Academy Award and said, here's my audition, and took out her second, said, here's my fucking callback. Shelley Winters,
Right.
maybe beside it. So it's a relationship, and once you get, I have a wife who's an actress who's, excellent, beautiful, but she's over 30. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like me. You just described me.
It changes everything. It changes the entire landscape.
Even my beauty cannot land me more roles.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is it's not always talent. It's not always grit. Sometimes it's the luck of the draw. And sometimes these producers and other money holders are big, giant pieces of fucking dog shit. But you know what? Every now and then the universe fucking aligns and you end up with magic. So I'm glad you're getting to talk to us.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was really the case. And all that time I was doing that, one of the reasons I was interested in it is because I liked the writing and I was a writer. And I finally ended up getting a staff writing job on NBC working for Dick Wolf, which
wow.
a whole other world of madness, because literally we would spend an hour in the writer's room talking about, if you fuck the goat first, does it improve the flavor of the chev? I'm not kidding. Not kidding. At that, and then just passing bumps of coke around. It's Dick Wolf's writing room. I'm sorry if I'm, telling any secrets.
A lot of love.
But this is what it was like. And I was fairly young and really excited and wanted to do this thing. And I'd gotten in on a spec script, and it was just this unusual, bizarre thing. And it was madness. Just madness. And that's the thing about Stoned Age. It wasn't madness. It was really sweet and together, because Jim Melkonian barely said a word and Rich just kind of giggled the whole time. And it was really easy and fun. And the only drawback was I didn't smoke. So I was always in a nicotine coma. And B, it was, like vampire hours. We had to shoot as soon as the sun went down and then beat the sun. And I chopped all my hair off. So I wore the wig that, what the fuck is his name? Matt Dillon wore when he played the Eddie Vedder character in that movie he did. So it's like the $7,000 wig that they had to get out of cold storage. So it was this huge deal to wear it.
Huh.
Because it had, some history to it. And in order to make it work, they had to put this shit on your hair called Gafquat, which is what makes hairspray hard, but it's in its liquid form. So they put this shit. It's like this, some bizarre alien bird is shit on your head, and they just crank it back, and then it dries rock hard, and then they anchor this wig into your head, and then they're like, "All right, now go be cool."
Can't wait to put that all purple sticky all over his face.
It was, and then so I had to rush home, soak my head for an hour to get the shit out of my head, just so I could wake up, at 4:00 in the afternoon and, stumble out because I was living in Venice at the time, I think we were shooting in Reseda, stumble out to Reseda, and have breakfast at like 9:00 at night. And it was a trip.
That's crazy.
So I have to write a note. I need to look up this water-soluble hair jizz. I want to know the chemical structure of it.
You do, because I'm sure it's a natural occurring polymer.
Yeah, it probably is. It could be like some kind of agarose. Hopefully it isn't related to either whale or some other form of mammalian excretion. But
it feels like some sort of purified nut butter.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's bizarre, but it dries so hard. Oh my God, it's like a helmet. It's like you don't need helmet loss. Just put Gaff on your fucking head.
That's awesome.
It was intense.
So did the feel of like that help with like Joe's attitude, or what? Like what motivated your character there?
That was the thing that really put the hook in me. Was I liked the script and I was down with all that, but Mike was there when I read. Because Mike already had the part of Joe.
Mm-hmm.
He was just reading with 10,000, Axl Rose wannabe hub guys. You know what I mean? Or like Slash look-alike guys. And then there's this old fucker who's 28 with short hair and a bandana on and a leather jacket. Because everything in the movie is our wardrobe. Mike and I wore our own clothes.
Okay.
Just feeling old, just feeling like Betty Davis at a fucking in like the 1990s. Just like I'm just too old for this shit. What am I doing?
Right.
But Coppola, Mike is so lovely and loving and cool and just completely put me at ease. And for some reason, he kind of singled me out a little. because he was kind of talking to me and, oh, your guess is great. Oh yeah, no, you're great for this part. No, 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 la la la. So I was comfortable with him, and I liked him, and I thought, you know, it would be fun to work with him.
You two were a really good team. Really
Yeah.
liked seeing you two together. Even when you didn't agree, it was a good dynamic, both of you.
Well, I genuinely liked him. Yeah. So that makes a huge difference. That's not always the case.
And so, how long? I know you did like test, readings and photo shoots, but how long did you and Mike know each other before you really got shooting the movie?
Oh, I'd met him twice.
Oh, okay.
I'd met
Just
him
twice.
just twice.
Okay.
And then he was like, they're not willing to admit this movie's set in the 70s. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, they're doing this thing. The producers won't admit that it's a 70s film, like a late 70s movie, or even early 80s, it would pass.
Right.
He says, so what I've been doing is they're giving us these stovepipe 501s, and I'm ripping out the inseam so they look belled. So why don't you do that? I said, okay. So, I'm like, what year does this movie take place? Oh, it's generic. It's any year. Is it? Have you watched the movie? Any year?
Right.
So obviously, but they wouldn't admit to it, and I couldn't understand why. Dazed and Confused had already done it. Why are you being so cagey about? Because it hadn't really been an R-rated comedy. I'm like, what are you talking about? What about Porky's?
Right.
You're not really breaking a hell of a lot of ground. I mean, it's good, but they were cagey about it. They were cagey at first. Not in a negative sense, just they weren't giving me really any real answers. So to answer your question, Mike and I were left alone on the set, first day shooting together a lot. So all that energy just kind of happened while we were waiting to work. And then I think one of the first things we shot was all that footage in the opening scene and the blue torpedo and all that stuff, because that was the audition scene,
Okay.
It's out of Pussy Song to Find Who the Faggots Are, which you could never say today in a commercially
Right. Well, I mean, the movie opens up and it's like you see these two characters and it's like, okay, they've been friends for a long time.
Had to be that.
And you get the feel and just, how the car is set up and how it's just, trashed on the inside and you guys are comfortable with it. And it just seemed.
Yeah, they have really, really shitty home lives. Is kind of a backstory we came up, and it's alluded to when Hubs gets Joe the blowjob. You know how your dad used to beat the shit out of you all the time. Now I'm imagining that Hubs's family life isn't any better, and the only family he's got is Joe.
Okay.
And he won't admit it. You know what I mean? He would never admit to that, but that's his life and that's his family, and so that's why the car needed to have that lived-in look and. They needed to have that camaraderie because they're kind of more than brothers in a weird way, because they were even though they were adversarial, they were still very close. I thought.
I like that term, lived in. I'm gonna embrace that.
Yeah, it's kind of like what Dan O'Banion did with that movie Dog Star. If you ever saw that, it was a precursor to Alien. Right. It was truckers in space was the way I had dinner with him once, and that's how he pitched it, truckers in space. And then later with Alien, it was miners in space. But he really was insistent on the spaceships looking like people lived in them. He didn't want this Kubrickian 2001 austere world. He wanted it, and that's bizarre because we did talk about it on the set, because there is that 2001, there's an allusion to that at the end of the film. And so there was this conversation about making it look lived in and, having shit everywhere. And, how the 8-track is kind of that's kind of like my Easy Boy. That's kind of like my thing. And, the music is my thing. And it's like Mom and Pop, and they got their thing set up. And
I also love that you're talking about and using the word film, because I think some people don't realize what it was like when things are shot on film.
Oh, it was different. Yeah. You had to wait a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I got to experience the transition between the film and the digital age, but I think some people may not realize what it's like when there's certain shit you have to do, and you have to do it now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That film.
And it's not, and
So-
it's relaxed, but it's not relaxed like today because because there's a thing called a ratio. So per scene, you get 4 takes because you've only got so much 400 white stock.
Mhm.
And if there's a fuck up in the gate, or if they got to slap the mag to get it running correctly or whatever, that's going to screw up a shot. So you really have to be on your game. Unlike today, where they can shoot 1,000 takes because it's all digital. You know,
Just hit the DEL button.
just hit
Never
the
happened.
yeah, and it I don't know. It's kind of changed the way people approach the craft a bit. I think a little bit because we were pumped. I mean, we were excited because it was film, and we knew it was film, and it was
You hear it rolling.
yeah. You could hear it clicking, and it was just bitching. It was a cool thing, but it was a little nothing movie. That's why I couldn't understand it. Why am I waiting a month to hear on this? It was so weird. And then once it got in its groove, its slot, it just went. You know?
yeah.
Because there was
Oh,
all
yeah.
this bullshit with who's going to play Lanny, and they want Elizabeth Berkley, but Elizabeth Berkley, this is pre-Showgirls, won't do nudity. Really? Really? You won't do nudity. Because that's what you're known for now. But you wouldn't do it at the stage. Okay.
Well,
So-
I think
And I mean, Renee came to bat like at the 11th hour, if I remember correctly, because they couldn't find the woman rather, who was willing to play this role and not make it feel like she's being objectified. She's choosing to let these assholes into her apartment. She's going to
Right.
play with them. She's going to get out of them what she wants.
right.
I mean, and so it was a type of sexuality that was non-objectified, which is a difficult thing for people to understand in this day and age. But that actually did exist for
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
There-
I like that I didn't know who any of you were back then when the movie
Right.
came
We didn't know
out. I
who.
love that.
Yeah,
I
we were
love
figuring.
that.
You know?
So I mean, like, if there was someone from like a show that I knew, and that was, I feel like you all had memorable faces. I think casting did a great job on the entire cast because sometimes seeing someone that's been in other things you've seen can kind of ruin a story, and I think that's why this is a cult classic because when everybody experiences this movie, they're like, okay, I'll give this movie a shot. Or when they saw it in the movie store and they picked it up for a rental, I'll give this movie a shot. And then it's like, oh, I'm watching this over and over and over again because it's a story that really can be related to, like, oh, you're young, you're finally breaking away from your parents at the nighttime, and you in your car with your friend, what can we get into? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it was really like the reality of what it is when you're young and trying to get the most out of life, and you're like, you're at that hot dog stand, and the bigger chicks are there, and they're like, want to play submarine? You know what I mean? Like, that's the reality of, like, dudes like, you guys going out and trying to find hot chicks is like, that's what you're finding. That's what's going to be open for business. The whole movie was just relatable in every way. So I think that's why it's so popular.
Yeah.
And Renee's character, there's girls like that. And I think we've all experienced one or two of them in our lifetime.
Mhm.
And I think she did a great job, like you said, not making it seem like she was objectified. She was
No.
very in control
Yeah.
of everything. She was the dominant one.
And took her and with ease, didn't force it. It's a
It
really
didn't
good,
seem like it.
it's a really good performance if you watch. I mean, to me, at least, and a very difficult role to cast, really hard to cast.
I'd say so.
It's difficult to find women of that caliber that can be that comfortable with, what are perceived as their assets.
Right.
It was
But so-
a crew full of dudes. Every lead in it but her and China. You know what I mean? There are 2 women in it, and then the Buffalo chicks. But it's such a horrible misogynistic thing. One of the chicks quit because she was so
Oh.
sick. And it was wearing on her. It was wearing on her, constantly being the butt of these jokes. So she wanted out. And I was raised by a single mom, so I got it. I completely
Right.
understood where she wanted out. So,
Yes, Rob.
Gentlemen, this interview so far has been fantastic. It's great to hear the intellectual, the insider's view on the business. But we just received a very special delivery, especially for the International Man of Mustard. It's a video, and we have to show it real quick so we can continue.
We're getting bombed.
It's
Please,
ridiculous.
sir, proceed.
One thing about it, that's good. That's good. When I tell you this is good. I don't know. My baby even kicking. Girl, y'all better stop lying. Y'all better try this. It's mustard and watermelon.
That's fucking so gross. Why do you do
Almost
that?
lost my bong.
Because we love you, Ray.
It's so sick.
They made that just for you.
I'm gonna put
Okay,
that
so-
fucking hair jizz on my nutsack and fucking hang purple sticky from it, swing it around
All right.
rather than watch that.
Let me fill Bradford in here. So Bradford, if you're not familiar with Rake, Rake is right next to you. He's from MTV's Jackass. If you're familiar.
Hopefully not.
Not really.
Okay. If you're familiar with Bam Margera, he was on MTV's Viva La Bam as well. He's one of Bam Margera's friends. So,
15 years on movies, network television, but still remains a scientist
Unimpressive.
to this day.
so yeah.
That's very funny, fuck faces. Very funny.
Professionalism. All right. So no, one of Rake's things in real life is that he absolutely hates mustard. So on TV, on national television, and to this
I just
very
don't
day on this
enjoy it at all.
podcast, he is taunted with it, and it's
Oh, they
something in
told
real life
me-
that
no,
makes him
in
sick.
real life.
We're very professional.
They wasted countless hours of film, but at that point it was probably video of me doing things at that point which made the entire skit or the entire day unusable because they were trying to get at me. But that's a different.
Here we go! Oh, yes! I love
All right, all right, all
Fucking sick.
right. So anyway, backing it up. I don't even know what the hell just happened here. So back to Bradford. Back to Stone Age because we don't have to stay on Stone Age all the time. So was this one of your this was like your first big role, Stone Age?
No, not really.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I've done a lot of sitcoms and
I-
stuff like that previous. But it was a job I actually wanted.
Okay.
I wanted it. I liked it. I liked the vibe.
Okay.
And I'm from Southern California. I got that world. I understood it. I think they did a really good job in portraying it accurately. You know,
Maybe I phrased it wrong when I said first big role. What I meant to say is because I had a huge crush on Renee. So to
Yeah.
me, I just kind of phrase things differently. So where I was kind of going with that was with the scenes you had with her around the end of the movie, were those your first kind of nude scenes with a female on camera?
well, it just looks that way. There really was no nudes. I mean, there is, but it's like someone checking off their top in the middle of a Vegas casino. I mean, the set is literally that filled with people, and it's not like you're nude. You're giving the illusion of it, and you've got a grip over here and a guy over here, and the guy giving you the penguin over here. I mean, the scenes that were clearly not sexualized, but were far more intimate, were the scenes with Joe in the blue torpedo because we were literally alone. There was no one around but a camera, an Ariflex with no sound, just rolling on whatever we wanted to do for however long we wanted to drive. I mean, there were scenes where there was no oversight, but that scene had heavy oversight. SAG reps, are you comfortable with this? We're not getting what we need. It got a little uncomfortable. I started to get a little like, let's not hassle her. It's a difficult scene for a woman to do.
Hearing all this on your end is cool. Because
I wish someone would have asked me that shit.
It's never gonna happen, man.
Naked in front of fucking Bam's mom.
I'm gonna talk about it. You wish.
Do you think it didn't happen?
Well, with what kind of, was it women?
A naked dick, like my dick. When your friend's mom sees your dick in a movie,
this
gets a little bit weird.
This was,
I get
uncomfortable, but it's good that he worked in a better setting where that was worked out. So I'm glad to hear that.
Oh, I just like hearing the reality versus the illusion, because in the movie the scene was well put, just like the whole movie. I mean, it was shot and edited so well that the way that you're describing the reality of it, which is completely different. It's just interesting to hear.
It's just geometry. It's math. It feels like math when you're shooting that stuff. Especially when, even in the hot tub scene and in the pool scene, Renee had her boyfriend there that day on the set. And he was sitting on a chaise lounge just fucking glaring at me the whole time. Rightly so, I get it. It was an odd choice to have him there, but I understand. But you have to understand, she needed to feel safe. She needed to feel safe. It's an independent feature. God knows what the fuck they're going to get up to. It's not like
I don't feel safe anymore. I don't feel. Oh, he's gone.
You know what I mean?
We don't need.
I understood it, but it just looks more grab ass than it actually is. It just looks that way.
Well, and like you said, you were working with great people, and they did their job there. Where, like you said, it's all math, but in the end, a great movie was put together.
But what it solicits in the viewer is desire, and she's sexy, and oh God, what a luck. You know what I mean? You're putting yourself in Hubbs's place. But if you're in Hubbs's place, he's got fucking, bobby pins sticking into his skull. Terrified he's getting his fucking wig wet. He's got boyfriend in the corner.
They don't see, the camera doesn't turn around.
Who's not that fucking porn? We're not in the hot tub anymore. And I'm just like, did we get it? Did we get it? Did we get it? Because I mean, that's the reality.
I think you just killed Purple Sticky's boner.
So it was. So I'm guessing situations like you're describing, like the pool scene, having Michael around was very helpful for you. Like you were saying,
Mike just puts everybody at ease. He just made it seem normal. It just felt comfortable and normal.
Because that's what Renee said. Renee was like, there was no weirdness on this movie. It was very fun. Everybody was friendly. And she said she had one of the best times she ever had in her life on that.
And that's saying a lot, because I've been on sets where it's gone very south for women in playing roles similar to her. And we've had to call in SAG reps, and it's just uncool.
Right.
Because I understand you think it's what it's a Friday the 13th or whatever the fuck it is, but in reality, there has to be a code of honor and respect, because you're creating the illusion of these people being in peril, but they can't actually be in fucking peril, or you end up like, what's happening in Santa Fe. With this Rust movie and the horror of that.
Exactly.
Just a piece out of me, Purple Sticky. What's he doing?
All right, we can
who's calling? Whose phone is that? Okay.
Did he just froze up there, brother?
I thought it was you. So another question I had. We good?
I think so. I think we're all here. Yeah.
Okay. Another question I have for you is, did you really go for particular roles, or did you just get cast for what they thought you were best for, and the things that we would see you in?
I don't understand the question.
Okay, let me rephrase that. So you were basically a tough guy or a bully most of the time. You just
No.
basically had a tough persona in everything that I
So
saw.
in that movie,
Well, but
Not just in that movie.
you get typecast. You get typecast very quickly.
Okay, so you were
Really?
typecast as a tough guy.
Oh, and that's why I was up for the Stoned Age. That's why I get up for it, because I'd done other things, guest stars, what have you, even in sitcoms and other, things like that. And, that's just the way they see you. So
That
Yeah.
wasn't your bag. That wasn't what you were like. I'm gonna go when I'm going out into the acting world, and this is the character that I know I'm good at. You weren't going for that particular role, were you?
no, that's exactly what I did. Because
Awesome.
when I came out of acting school, I was going up against people like Matthew Broderick. I was going up for like Neil Simon stuff.
Okay.
And so I said to myself, look, guys who play bullies in movies are probably assholes in real life and dumb shits. What if they hire a guy who's actually trained, smart, respectful, but can play that? I bet there'd be work for that guy. So I went to the gym and I ate shitloads of chicken breast, and I just bulked up and created a persona, and sure as shit, it worked, but it worked too good. It worked too well. Because then I'm raping, Native Americans in the Lone Ranger remake, and playing white supremacists and bombing churches and putting cigarettes on black people. And it's just got really bad for me psychologically for a while. So I quit for a year. I just said, I'm done with, because I don't really see Hubs as a bully. Tack is an asshole. So anybody would be a bully to Tack, because Tack is a prick, in my estimation. So what makes Hubs a bully in the Stoned Age is the way he treats Tack, I guess. I mean, Hanky, whatever, but I didn't see him as like someone who would grow up to, be an oath keeper or something. I mean, he wasn't like that. He'd probably end up, doing a self-motivation course or a used car lot in Hollywood or something. I mean, I could see him doing something where he had to talk his way into getting what he wanted. But I don't think he ended up being a dick. I really don't. I think that's a phase he grows out of.
Okay.
Because, and I'm saying that because I played far worse before that.
Okay.
No, in fact, I saw it, believe it or not, as, oh, wow, it's kind of a romantic lead, which is something I always play the guy threatening the romantic lead.
Right.
Then I was kind of in this twisted, fucked up teenage way playing that part. So I saw it very, very differently, because I wasn't pulling out a knife. I wasn't pulling out a zip gun. I wasn't doing what I normally would do, so I wanted to do it.
I gotcha. So, we can change course here a little bit. So, not that this means anything at all. It's just something I noticed through checking you out on social media. You're very proud of your daughter. So I was checking out her social media and seeing what she's about. And the one thing that caught my eye is she's verified and you're not.
That's right.
What's that about?
because he doesn't give a fuck.
Kinda.
That's cool, man. You see, you're just as cool as you play in the movies. I mean, when you're playing it cool, like.
Well,
That's cool, man.
in all fairness, my daughter did a movie with Sylvester Stallone that got delayed because of the pandemic. It's coming out next year. It's called Samaritan. But because it's an MGM feature, she had to be certified for her Instagram. So all of the press freakos at MGM made sure that she got the check mark.
Dude, I can't even imagine what that's like nowadays.
It's intense.
I can't even the whole
Be vetted.
I don't want to ask you, but you probably know like how much that's in like the whole contract. Social media presence and what you're gonna do, and
Right.
When my daughter started her career, she was in a movie I made years and years ago, little tiny movie called Salt, and she was 6 years old, and she fucking hated it, and she couldn't stand it. Hated the fact that mom and dad were actors. She never wanted to see any of the shit we were in. It annoyed the shit out of her. I mean, when my wife was on X-Files, Gillian Anderson was directing, and she was and Gillian Anderson was cool enough to let my wife breastfeed during takes. So my wife was getting her close-ups of the X-Files. My daughter's right there. My daughter had zero interest in Hollywood. Hated it. Thought it was stupid, lame, and boring. She'd been on sets with both of us. So she wanted to model. She was a dancer. She was, she got pegged at this ballet, at Dorothy Chandler. She's 15 years old. 15 is too young. I don't want you to do it. Wait, okay, it's safe. We'll do it. So we do it. And, she, in order to get modeling auditions, one of the columns is, how many followers do you have on Instagram?
that's fucking
that's
insane.
sad.
That's your question. And it's still what I promise you, they're checking your vaccine status and how many followers you have before they even audition you in this town today. Now, that's probably not going to apply to an old fucker like me or to my wife who's on a soap, who's pretty much steadily employed. But just if you're 22,
But you know what I'm going to say?
that's what time it
What
is.
I'm going to say right now, that's fucking lazy. For the people doing the casting, for
Yeah.
the people that are checking out talent, that's just an easy way for them to check off a box. And
I
it's
agree.
fucking lazy because you could miss great talent. And I don't know how you feel about that, but
I absolutely agree with you, but it really speaks to Mr. Purple Sticky Seaman's point. We were unknowns. Now you got to understand when Rich and Jim wrote that script, every single major studio wanted it. Disney, MG, Warner Brothers, they all wanted it. But
What?
they wanted names, and they wanted no tits, and they wanted no fuck, and they wanted no faggot, and they wanted none, and all of the shit that made it totally
that made
nuts.
people like it.
That made people like it because it feels authentic to the era. They said, no, we'll make it with unknowns on a lower budget, but we want to make it this way. Well, if you even tried that today, you're going to be aiming for a streaming service because you're never going to DVD. What the fuck does that mean today? So it's
Right.
like, who could we get it on Netflix? Well, even to get it on Netflix, you're going to have to get somebody with a Q rating today. So
Okay.
to speak to Jan's point, they had to look at unknown talent in those days because none of these things existed.
I mean, but
Right.
just to me, that was the beauty of some of that shit.
It
You know what I
was,
mean?
sure.
The freshness of it.
Yeah.
And I just don't know what we're gonna do now. How people are gonna see fresh, interesting things.
Oh,
I
know.
got so lucky in that when we did what we did, the equipment to do the type of filming that you and others helped to pioneer kind of got into the hands of the common man, but there was the whole Netflix and social media and cell phone, smartphone shit wasn't out yet.
No.
So it was still like you could get VHS tapes and other things out there. So there was still an ability to get like a cult following, but based off of a real, like people that were motivated and that would want to show their friends.
Yep.
But now it's difficult. Like, if you don't mind, I would like to ask you, like, what do you think the future is going to be of independent and, like just really innovative cinema?
Well, from what I've seen is that the younger generation, even though they get a horrible fucking rap, these poor millennials, it's just like when you raise one, you get a very different insight. You really do. They're probably the most cinematically educated generation on planet Earth because they have access to everything. from like the silent films like Sunrise all the way up to, you know, the golden age of the 70s, the 80s. You know, they have access to everything.
This is well
And
put.
so I actually think the future is a lot brighter than we think. I really do. I really do. Because first of all, these are all just tools. At the end of the day, it's like, oh, did you see my horse and buggy? It's like, fuck that. It's just a tool. No one gives a shit that you got 6 horses, 2 horses, 1 horse, whatever the fuck it is. That my daughter can shoot a professional looking short on her fucking iPhone is
So
killer.
you think the rays of sunshine
Right.
are still going to get out there?
Well, because it's going to lap back to what it was back in the 1920s when people that had just gotten out of the war, they'd been working on a ranch for 2 years, stumbled into fucking Hollywood, you know, jumped all the whiskey out of their system, said,
Yeah.
I'll do that stunt, I'll fall off that fucking roof, I'll take the header off that fucking speeding horse, I'll crash that plane. Because these motherfuckers were real badass because
They were hungry.
they were hungry, and they would hire you with no resume in 1917, 1918. And I think it might eventually cycle back
Yeah.
to that.
Boom. That's what I was going to say.
The problem is you do have a generation obsessed with making it, obsessed with making money. In the 80s, we didn't give a fuck
Right.
about that.
Quote unquote making it. You know, it's glad to know that, you know, you're into more than followers, and I'm sure you instill that in the people that you're around. The ones that'll still listen.
Oh,
They're
dude,
out there.
I
They
was
really
like,
are. They really are. They're out there. People still give a shit. People still want to see cool stuff. I absolutely believe that. This movie should not have a life. It's as misogynistic and as antiquated as a movie gets, yet people love it. Why? Because it's well done.
It's well
yeah.
done, and it's got, you know,
That's it.
heart and soul.
It has heart, and it's not actually what you think it is. You know, if you really analyze it, there's a real balance between Joe and Hubs, and there's a real balance between Lainey and China's character. I mean,
Right.
it's not just it's like a gaggle of dumb shit girls at a slumber party. It's not that. It's actually
God, I do miss those movies, though.
those were,
but
but you couldn't make them today.
I think you would agree, other
They
than
just don't
that,
have the same feel anymore, though.
but other than it being done well, I think you know, when you're growing up and you're living like that experience that you see these two guys are experiencing throughout the movie, there's no perfect way to learn how to grow up. You're gonna make weird decisions.
and
Things aren't gonna be perfect.
and die on stupid hills and do dumb stuff.
Right.
How old were you when you saw the movie? When you saw Stoned Age?
Oh, see, that's the thing, though. I was one of those '90s kids that was left alone in the big house.
jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at?
Turn this shit up. You interrupted me. Anyway, I don't know what that was about.
Man.
Hey, so we
Leatherface.
gotta ask Purple Sticky. Did he ever see Porky's?
See what?
Porky's. I heard him mention that before.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, I've
"God,
seen
motivated,
Porky's."
man. That's I knew my man.
Okay, see, that falls in line with Stoned Age here. So my dad was cool, but my parents kind of just like phoned it in. Like they had the house, they had everything, so as long as I was safe, I was by myself. So I saw Stoned Age when I was 6. And
Oh my god, that's
Right.
hilarious. That's like
You know what I mean?
So
I-
your
I want to
movie
a
was
job.
like my Porky's.
And that
right.
and it didn't. And when you were 6, what do you remember thinking about it? Did you think, oh, that feels authentic, or did you just think it was funny?
First off, I mean, so I think when depending on your age, you view a movie or a show differently at those different ages. So at that age, I didn't think movies were real, but I thought, okay, your character was fucking cool. And I was like, not that I wanted to be like you, but I was like, okay, that's badass. I like him. And that's just kind of what drew me into the movie, because I was like, what's this guy about? And you know what I mean? Like, I was just watching you be in charge and then it was just these two buddies. And at a young age, I was looking at it like I was looking at it like, you know, you don't know what the future holds. You don't know what you want to be like. But I knew I always wanted to be like a rock star. I wanted to be a singer in a band. And so when I saw the cover of the movie, I was like, well, this looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then, oh, you know, it starts out, you know, they're looking for hot chicks. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, that's still cool. I understood that at 6. And then, you know, I think there's probably references that had to hit me at older ages. But at 6, I'd say I thought the movie was cool, and I thought, hey, that could happen. So I think that's where I was at 6 years old. Like, there's something to look forward to. But as I grew older and I watched this movie I loved through being a teenager and then becoming an adult, I kind of was just like, either like, oh, been there, not all it's all cracked up to be, like it's not that fun, or yeah, right, or certain. But then, you know, then you see the scenes like where he's puking in the couch, and I'm like, okay, I can relate, or I've seen that. You know what I mean? But then, you know, so I'd say maybe if you're trying to get at if there was anything unrealistic to the movie, I'd say that group of guys following to the house to get that one to all get laid. I think that was probably the one thing that I didn't experience in my lifetime growing up, where things I'll say weren't perfect, where you're experiencing how to grow up. Where like a gaggle of guys were looking for the same hot chick. That's the only thing I'll say was weird. Funny though, loved it though, wouldn't change a thing. But yeah, I mean, as I grew, I'd say I had different feelings about the movie, but now I'd say I'm a father, and you know, I have a daughter, so you know, I look at things differently. You know what I mean? I'm not always like, you know, Renee's somebody's daughter. You know, I still look Renee now, and I'm still like, hi, like I'm still like, she's still hot. Like,
no,
so
my friends from the trailer park, you know, a lot of their daughters grew up and they're hot. You know, you got to fucking. That's just how life is. What scares me now is that generation of movies that I had so much fun growing up and watching, and you know, like you could stay up late at night and watch that stuff. How the fuck am I going to explain that to my kids in the age of fentanyl and all this other shit that's going on? It's just such a waste to me. Like,
it's fiction. Just
you know what I
like
mean?
fun
Like
time.
such a waste of. But when I was growing up, that wasn't fiction. I saw
know.
that stuff.
I
My
know.
sisters were the people that the dude that he was portraying was at my house when I was fucking in 2nd grade. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a joke. It was real stuff. But life was different then. You know what I mean? You could grow up. You know, you could experience things without the risk of like immediate chemical death. So I don't want to draw a bummer on the whole thing, but I think it's a golden age of cinema, and it was fun, and you know, people could reminisce and watch things and enjoy it. And I just, what the fuck? What are we gonna? What's the next generation of that movie gonna be like?
Well, I think we're gonna revert back to that, kind of like Bradford was saying. I think we're gonna realize, just like, you know, the millennials are like, you know what? There's records and there's cassettes, and I like how the music sounds on this. I like vinyl better than an MP3. I think there's gonna be like a discovery of like, you know, the 80s was just, you know, do whatever you come up with and do a line of coke with that. And then the 90s was like, be free and expressive with your art. And I think it's almost going to go to a point where like people choose how they're going to live the decade they feel they should have been living in if they're, you know, younger. But I think like Bradford was saying, I think there's hope for the cinematic industry as well, in the same respect that, like, you know, we've every decade we're watching 30 years. So now we're actually in the 90s. Do you think wouldn't it be funny if there was like
my 5-year-old wants to make fucking TikTok videos?
Well, that's my fault. I'm sorry about that.
No. But that's, like I said, that's the new thing. And I'm trying to get them to watch Revenge of the Nerds. Like it's not controversial.
Right, but to your 5-year-old, it's like you telling her, don't put your performance in a tin can and go to Hollywood and make movies. You should be on the stage. You should be reading Ibsen. And she's like, no, I want to go work with Fatty Arbuckle.
Yeah.
Dig, because
Right.
years from now, TikTok might be brilliant. Might be the last bastion.
You're absolutely
of
right. You know, I don't want to.
creativity.
I shouldn't poo-poo the future.
I
Yeah.
used to do it a lot, and I'm realizing that first of all, it's always a very nostalgic view of an era. Like the Stone Age is portraying an extreme fringe of society. Very few people actually wore black leather jackets, biker boots, smoked weed in their fucking. Very few people were doing it. I'm talking about
And seeing it inside their parents' house.
especially
when
in
they were in
Southern
second grade.
California. I grew up in the 80s in Southern California. It's button-down Izod shirts, fucking wide corduroys, topsiders. It was preppy. 99% of the people look like that. If you showed up at a party looking like what we used to call a bagger, you'd get kicked out.
Ha!
Yeah.
Nice.
That was a very rare type.
Not
of-
before they tried to bang my sister.
right. But
Wait.
but they
And I'm
were
not even lying.
totally
And she
different
will-
breed of dude.
Purple
And there
Sticky,
weren't a
when
lot
you
of them.
meet her, she'll fucking admit the same thing. That was fucking life, dude,
yeah.
in my neighborhood.
Mhm.
Leather jackets, dumb shit.
It just depended where you were.
Yeah, we did, but again, it wasn't what was on TV. It wasn't what was being portrayed in the movies of that era.
Well, I'll tell you something.
Fringe.
The- Well, Stone Age, the characters that you're saying, like if you YouTube Heavy Metal Parking Lot, have you ever seen that?
Have not.
Okay, that's a VHS that someone took from a camcorder outside the parking lot. I don't know if it was everybody tailgating for Ozzy. It was a
Hopefully,
major act.
Dio.
Okay, so it was major, but you get to hear and see all of these concert goers, and they look just like you guys. So like it
Sure.
just depended where you were, and so I'm guessing, like you're saying, where you lived, there wasn't your characters out there. I mean,
Well,
maybe
I'm
they
keeping
were
the drive alive.
far and few between.
Mr. Purple Sticky, I have to say, you are disturbingly sober at this point of the podcast.
Because I'm Wayne Campbell.
Now, to keep with tradition, brother, we got one of these to do.
What's that?
It's a shot. Leatherface, turn the fucking music down.
I'm sorry, Bradford. Do you mind if we do this real quick?
Yeah.
I feel like he's like, I'm doing this podcast with these dumb assholes.
No,
All right.
I do log off.
He can do whatever he wants. All right,
Oh,
so
no.
we'll do this real
4
quick.
minutes left.
In the digital age, we already got it.
All right, well, we gotta hustle then. All right, take this shot. I got stuff to say.
I did.
You did?
We're just giving you a quick time check. We'll skip the bong hit.
All right, yeah, we'll take care of that
Yeah,
later.
show's about done, my friend.
Yeah, I know, but damn. So Renee didn't get to join us. That I knew this was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Since she was fighting traffic, she wasn't near her home
You
today.
can tell her I did a shot at coronavirus vaccine in her honor.
Oh my God. Yeah, she's obsessed with conspiracy coronavirus shit. Still a fun
She's
conversation.
always been a free thinker. Always.
She's awesome. Oh,
She's
love
always
talking to her.
Stuff. Yep. Yep.
Love talking to her. Well, yeah, we're coming to the end of the. What the hell? Get him out of here. Sorry about that.
I like that guy.
What do you
He's
mean?
a free thinker.
He's always
Just a
chewing
little
on
bit
something
more
in a
free
different
than most,
location.
that's all.
Creeps me out. All right. Anyway. Now I'm thrown off track. Okay,
You're
so Bradford, me and Rake are in a band. I don't think I said any. Maybe I said that.
Never.
Okay, we're in a band. We just put out an EP. We're very underground right now. Do you think when we're not live, do you think there's any way we can connect and I can send you some of our stuff? So you, maybe like a t-shirt and a CD?
There's a way. Yes, the mail's still
Awesome.
around.
Well, no, I mean, so, I don't know how private you are.
No, Mike's in a band, right? He's a drummer in a band. Mike.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
Now I know for tomorrow's interview.
Talented.
Or maybe he's playing one in the video. I don't know. I think it's real. I think it's real.
Okay.
Yeah. You know. Absolutely.
Okay.
I met Dave Grohl in the 7-Eleven one time. We could give him our CD. He was.
Yeah, I'm
okay,
sure
man.
that'll work out real well for us. Dave Grohl can give a shit about us. No, I just wanted to connect with someone that like I've watched throughout my lifetime. I'm like, hey, I'm doing something
And I honor
worthy enough.
Absolutely. I'd appreciate it. Of course.
I appreciate you.
Thank you
even-
so much
yeah.
for talking to us, though. It's
Yeah,
been
thank you so much.
a great conversation, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't expect. But now that I see the blunt and the fucking pot leaf, I'm getting it. I'm getting the vibe. The little wallpaper and the with the kangaroos fucking all the time and the
Well, you know, I can't explain that. I can explain other stuff at a different time.
I
You don't
got
have
that
to
kangaroo
explain any
book
of
on
it. You
Amazon,
don't have to
bro.
explain any of
It's
it.
pretty amazing.
I think it's cool. I think it's its own thing.
So do you think in the future if I can get this more connected with you, Renee, and Mike, you think I can have you back on in the future, maybe next year?
Yes, maybe next whenever. You know, absolutely. I'm here now. I'd do it again. Sure.
Oh, hey man, I just want to give you space and respect you, but
No,
it just hasn't worked out. I want to do a Stone Age
So,
reunion.
Your perspective, though, I think is good.
Thank you.
Like very good. And then like how
I think it was
like what can we look forward to? Like what, like the past, the future, you know, like what do we think's gonna happen?
Right.
Well,
Thank you, Greg.
again, you know, you're going to see the breakup of the major networks because they won't be able to compete with streaming. And so you're going to see Netflix and Hulu and all the other shit take the place of the major networks. So something's going to fill the indie vacuum on top of that. It hasn't happened yet, but that's where I think the opportunity is going to happen.
Yeah, man.
That's interesting. You have a great outlook. You really get me thinking.
Well, especially if you understand the history of this shit. If you understand the history that nobody took Hollywood seriously. Nobody took Hollywood seriously. In fact,
The gimmick, right?
it was not only a gimmick, it was a cheap shill gimmick. It was a Nickelodeon nickel and dime bullshit junkie where whores hung out, you know, with the little, you know, titty films on the little Rolodex, windy for a nickel, jerk off. That's what movies began as. And so the guys who made them were seen as schlockmeisters. So movies were originally what they referred to as the people that were in the flickers. A movie was someone who worked in the movies. It was a derogatory term. And no one thought it would ever go anywhere. No one ever thought it would ever become artistic, let alone become, you know,
Like how would it supplant a stage performance? How would it ever do that?
Exactly, because it's not based on anything real. First of all, they don't talk in these movies. They just act. There's just expressions. And it's organ music or whatever the fuck it is on nitrate film that's cracky and shitty. And, you know, it'll never take off. It'll never happen. So I've heard this, studying it, I've heard this argument before. And I'm like, well, you were wrong 100 years ago. I'm pretty sure you're going to be wrong this time too. These kids are going to come up and surprise the shit out
I
of us.
like that attitude.
They just are. They just are. Oh, fucking millennials, PC bullshit. No. They have
No.
they've got so much access.
Once that money starts going down, they're gonna wake up.
I feel, but I am raising a daughter with a soul. And there's a lot of people out there like that with me raising. I mean, I'm sounding like it sounds proprietary. She's totally her own person. I'm lucky I'm on the ride and I get to watch it. But I'm seeing, you know, a young thinking person with all of this social pressure, because you get up in the morning, the first thing you do is perform for the fucking world, not your hometown, not your high school, the planet on your Instagram feed. Can you imagine the pressure at 20 fucking 2, 18, 6, 5. I mean, it's insane, but they do it. And I think there's lessons that are going to be learned and skills that are going to be assimilated that are really going to blow us away. I really do. And they'll make, what we've done previous kind of pale, because they'll have access to amazing shit on their laptop.
I really enjoy your perspective. I hope we get to continue the conversation.
I hope so.
Yes, definitely a bright perspective. I like hearing it. But unfortunately, we've run out of time.
All right.
Again, thank you, Bradford, for joining us. It's been a great time talking to you.
You too.
Until next time, sir.
Until next time.
Don't forget to stay tuned for the Wrangler Dave Trailer Park, where
And happy Halloween, fuck faces.
Mr.
Happy Halloween, motherfuckers.
Where
Halloween,
Mr.
motherfuckers.
Smithy will be the co-host, and they're going to be talking about the Alec Baldwin incident coming up in just about 5 minutes. Wrangler Dave.
Rake, stay on. Don't leave yet. Stay the fuck on for a minute. Have to bail. Dude.
What?
Why are we still live?